episode of every TV show ever. So let's go through his IMDb. This guy's worked since that movie, and this movie was a hit too.
He was also a hockey player, wasn't he?
I don't believe that. He said he wanted to write a hockey script, and he had 2 hits, and that's why he did it.
Okay.
I'm not. Maybe he was.
But I know this. It only cost like $8 million to make this movie, and it made like 16.
Yeah, and I mean, if you think about inflation, this movie made money as an R-rated film. It would have made so much more if it was PG-13.
Right, and I think like every R-rated movie, this I think was one of those ones that found its home on home video.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, shoot, dude, you said it. You were 12. If I was 12 and I watched this movie, I'd be like, this is awesome. Well, like, this is not in that voice, but I would have.
This is awesome.
Oh man,
it's my strong hand.
Yeah, come grab me. But I actually I have never heard of this movie, so it's kind of wild when you told me about it, and then you pitched it to me with Rob Lowe. And then you talked about Patrick Swayze and Keanu Reeves using a Quebec accent, right?
How great was his accent?
Oh, I loved it.
When he was at the bar, he's like, "Is an animal."
Oh yeah, I love it, dude. Just hearing him say, it was totally earnest about it too. Even looking at him back then, I know it's hindsight, but when you look at him now, you're like, yeah, that he's got it. Even though he makes it.
But even though he's like Bill and Ted Young, he doesn't really age. Like, he seems like if he shaved his like half beard he has on right now, his John Wick beard, he could just play this character again.
Yeah, he could go back to high school. He could do Never Been Kissed too.
And why shouldn't he do that?
How insane would that be? He goes back to high school and meets a teacher.
Oh. Anyways, back to this big climax. The fight.
Oh yeah, we haven't talked about that.
I want to say that the injuries and the wounds and the fighting and the hits in this movie are like gut-wrenchingly authentic.
Oh, yeah.
They look and feel like you're there.
I mean, so that's one of the things I liked a lot about this movie is, I used to box and I was like a bouncer, so I've seen a lot of people get hit. And in this movie, when people get hit, they obviously don't get hit, but they get hit. Like, one punch knocks people out in this movie.
Right.
And I love that about it.
Absolutely. And even we've done a lot of Goon comparison.
Yeah.
So in the Goon, when a tooth gets in his mouth, and then you see like the tooth fall down with like roots or whatever, but in this movie, like there's like half teeth still in their mouth, and it looks just like the most uncomfortable situation in the world.
Yeah. No, the pain looks real. I like that about that, and I think that's the movie the director wanted to make. What do you think?
Oh, 100%. He wanted to make a viscerally real hockey movie. And then because of studio notes, they had to put a romantic, meet cute, funny story involved in it.
Now, I gotta say, I have a note in here where they wrote, there's nothing unlikable about that guy. Rob Lowe, he is likable in the beginning of this movie. He's not really a punk. He's not a bad kid, but he's not super vanilla either.
No, and they try to like razz like the hazing and stuff at the beginning where they, after the night of drink, they're not really drinking as much as him to make him. He just wants to fit in. He's not like trying to show off. He just wants to be one of the boys. He just wants to be part of the team.
Yeah. And then what, they shave his nuts and he tells, I like when she said that to the lady. She's like, they grow back.
Yeah. Like as if he didn't know that. Like, oh, good. I was real nervous.
I've never done it before, so who knows?
Right.
But
so funny.
And then also, let's see. I had a couple other things here.
I thought the coach.
Oh yeah, that's what I had.
Did a fantastic job.
He's also the very angry coach in Not Another Teen Movie.
Right.
Just screaming. But in the beginning when they're supposed to make him the bad coach when he was drunk, when he was hungover during practice, and the coach was yelling at him, that felt fair.
Yeah.
And then
100%.
And then at the end, when he wanted them to do laps after Swayze got hurt, I think that he wanted them to do that to kind of get a lot of their anger out and just get the sad sackness out of them, make him the villain. Change the narrative. He's a good coach.
He's a good coach. He's a great coach. And again, there's like a authority dynamic that you just do what your coach says and talk about it later, right? Like, even if you look at like Spider-Man Homecoming, when Tony's like coaching Peter Parker, like if Peter just listened to what Tony says, they can talk about it later, things would have gone better.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't happen because there's these young, passionate athletes. So anyways, yeah, the Rob Lowe the end fight, just those guys both losing parts of their teeth, I was very uncomfortable watching that.
I mean, that was pretty cool though, right? I guess you can't show real fights in movies because it would almost be too brutal and kind of boring. But I liked, in the final fight between these two guys, there were some good straight punches thrown, which you rarely see in cinema.
It was a great fight. Again, the teeth stuff freaks me out. Like I have, that's like a thing. So we went to a youth retreat with our youth group a couple years ago, and it's at this big like resort center up in Muskoka Woods, which is up in northern Ontario. And so our bus had broken down on the way, so we were late getting there. So there's a speaker for the weekend, and there's these sessions. So we're late for the first session, so it's like 10 o'clock at night. And it's in the middle of nowhere. And so me and my leaders and our kids, we all rush in late, and we sit at the back because there were only seats left. And there's like 1,000 people there. And so the speaker's on stage, and he's like getting people all riled up because it's the first night. And he's like, "Who wants some candy?" And starts throwing candy into the crowd. And you know those double lollipops?
Yeah.
So one comes flying, and we have this rather tall youth leader, and it just smacks him in the face, and it's like a dark room. He just drops down. And I'm like, "Daniel, what are you doing?" And he's like looking for his tooth. It had cracked his tooth right off. And he was like in such excruciating pain. And it's like one of those things you always see in a movie, but like that wouldn't really happen. And so we had to like find a late night dentist. We went to the ER, and they took us to this dentist out in this log cabin and he thought we were like in a bar fight. So he was like really mean to Daniel. I'm like, "No, we're at like a youth retreat with a bunch of church kids."
Oh, lollipop hit him in the tooth?
Lollipop hit him in the tooth. So they put a crown on it for the night, and he had to get a new tooth put in. But ever since then, man, teeth stuff just freaks me out.
Oh, yeah, it sounds like it. I mean, that could happen at any moment now. It
and even
became real for you.
Even like in the dentist chair, I freak out. Like as an adult, I understand like the dentist is not going to hurt me. I got to go to sleep. I can't do it.
All right. Now let's talk about two more scenes before we get into our ice hockey team scene. The pen scene at the end when the kids come up for the autograph, and then he just looks at them. He's like, "You guys got a pen?" And then they go down the line. No, 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 no. And then the last kid goes, "Yeah, I got one." Okay.
Right.
That's a very long scene.
But I would say very like real.
Yeah, maybe that's super authentic. And then he asks him how many goals you scored. The kid's like, "I'm a goalie." He's like, "Who?"
But like, so we go to Oshawa actually, or Hamilton, and to watch like independent pro wrestling a lot.
Nice.
My son and I go. It's great. But you see a lot of like young starting out independent wrestlers, and they have like their autograph table set up at halftime. And you see kids, they just want an autograph. And some people don't even know what that is at that point in time. There's something that they have been told by society they want. They want to get an autograph. And so I think these kids went up there, and they're like, "We want an autograph." And I'm like, "Well, do you have a pen?" They're like, "Well, no." And then there's this like adolescent awkwardness that happens. And I think it was like a very real scene. Like I felt like that was almost like a scene from a documentary.
And then I loved when the kid said that he scored 78 goals the last season.
Right.
Is that so? Did you go to leagues? Is that possible to score 78 goals?
Again, I was the one kid in town who didn't play a lot of hockey. But I imagine at his level he would have been like a prodigy with a score like that.
Like a Xavier Laflamme.
Yeah.
Laflamme.
No, I think actually in a deleted scene that kid's name is Laflamme. Like, he grows up to be Xavier.
Oh, I wish that they would have said that in the movie.
Right?
Holy crap.
Like this felt like a weird predecessor to The Goon.
So I gotta tell you, man, this movie, so I think we kind of nailed down the Valley Girl, the kind of 80s notes in the film, and the weird humor, but there's enough in it. Like with the brother, the camaraderie, Keanu's accent, to make it worthwhile. This film.
Yeah. And I also loved, to be fair, I loved George Finn's like role. Like he did it as the big hockey player and the rough guy.
The Rafke.
Yeah, Racky, Carl Racky.
Yeah.
Like I thought he I didn't like him. I kind of hated him, but that's what I was supposed to do. He got that real heat. And yeah, I felt like he was better than I think he was brought in as a prop, and I think that he acted better than his role needed him to.
And his character was built up because he did get cut from the team in the beginning. And then Patrick Swayze got rough with him, and then he retaliated. I mean, too brutally. I guess his head did get cracked open on the ice.
Yeah, that was uncomfortable to watch as well.
But I think this movie almost does violence. It's not saying you have to fight, but it shows what happens with violence.
I almost wish, in watching this time around, with the 2019 perspective, of course, I think it would have been a better ending if at the end Rocky would have dropped his gloves and then Youngblood would have just skated away and be like, it almost seemed like, to be a good man, I need to be able to fight. But I think it would have been more like a better moment to be like, I don't need to fight to beat you.
Oh. And then a big dude walks out of nowhere and just trucks him.
Right. And then Patrick Swayze throws a puck at him or something. Like,
dink. The ice just melts and he falls into it.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
And that happens in all ice rinks, right?
100%. That's just at the end of the season. It's the gaping hole.
Ice sharks.
That could be a scene in Sharks from Sweden where they come through the ice.
That's gonna be big. Oh, though that is a scene. What are you talking about?
Yeah, no, but I mean, it's a scene we could talk about.
Oh,
what I'm
yeah,
saying.
For sure. We're definitely going to talk about the ice scene in Sharks from Sweden. Oh, that's going to be a good one. I can't wait. All right, so hey, we put together an ice hockey team that could defeat every ice hockey team, correct?
Correct.
All right. So, you know what's funny? I talked about Airborne, the 1993 movie, the skating movie.
Yep.
Yeah, and then we put together a rollerblading team that would go down a hill. So now I get to put together a hockey team, which is amazing.
Fantastic.
Yeah, but can I start us off? Because I got some really random ones here, if you don't mind.
Yeah, you go for it.
All right, I'm going with the vampire from Let the Right One In, and her name. So I think I wrote down the wrong name. Just one second, I got to get this right. So the girl's name.
No, I want you to do this right.
Oh no, I got it right, Ellie. So Ellie from Let the Right One In. I don't know if you've seen it, but it is one of the best. If you look at a best horror of the 21st century list, it's going to be on it. And in this movie, she's a very young, maybe 13, 12-year-old vampire who's obviously hundreds of years old. But she lives in a frozen, like Norwegian climate. She's used to the ice. Vampire. Cold doesn't affect her. And she's just a powerful vampire who rips people to shreds. So if we taught her how to skate, and she told her that she could get blood during the fights of hockey games, she would be a very powerful defender for us.
I love it. I love that. So already our team has supernatural abilities on it, which maybe means we're not going to get to the NHL with this team, but it means we're going to dominate the junior leagues. Yeah,
and I mean, the science fiction, the fictional leagues, we're going to crush.
Right. Remember Mutant League for Nintendo?
I do. And people, what was the one with the Vikings where they used to run into holes? Do you remember that one? The football one?
Yeah. I think it was just Mutant League football, was it not?
It might be. And then couldn't you fall into stuff?
Yeah.
I love that.
Bananas.
So this is like that, but hockey.
Exactly. So my first pick is Chris O'Donnell's Robin from Batman and Robin.
Ooh.
Because remember they have those ice skates built into their boots?
I do.
And then they are able to skate around and play pretty convincing hockey against the hockey-themed villains with those diamonds.
And they do. I mean, these hockey-themed villains, they're trained well. They can skate. So to just casually get onto an ice rink and play like that shows, like you said, just near savant levels, I guess, or prodigy levels of hockey. Yep. Oh man!
And I chose Robin over Batman because he's younger and has a higher shelf life. Like I think having Batman on our team, like he's gonna last half a season and blow his knee out.
Oh yeah, especially the Keaton Batman.
Right. Well, I think it was Clooney was the one that was opposite O'Donnell.
Oh yeah, Clooney wouldn't make it.
No, he's Chris O'Donnell. He's the guy.
A knee would go out. I love that one. All right, this is really another random, but I'm picking Jimmy from Halloween H2O.
Okay.
And I don't know if you remember it, but he's played by JGL. And he's the kid in the beginning with the hockey stick saying that he spent the most time in penalty minutes in his league. So we have an enforcer. He also goes into a house. He shows some savvy by stealing some beer. Yep. And, I mean, his friend is the one who gets killed with the ice skate. But I just think Jimmy kind of showed some toughness